So if you don't have a business plan that is viable, if you don't have everything clear in your head and clear on paper, you probably won't get a loan. But we're asking the lenders right now that instead of saying no to a woman or to any business person, to a woman, to say, not yet. You have to do this, 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 and that in order to get a loan. Because typically you will get a no, and then you have to walk away with no loan and a little bit lost in your plan to run your business. So we're combining the resources that we have with the women business centers, small business development centers, and tying them to the bank, to the banks, to the lenders. So I don't want to hear a no. I want to hear a not yet, but you can go to this place or that place or the women business center or SCORE chapter to get prepared for that loan. So we're doing that with the Recovery Act. 19% of the money went to women, and quite a bit went to minorities too. So we're quite happy with that. So we have the counseling, we have the business plan, we know how to run the business. Hopefully we have a little bit of money. So now we need the contracts, and that would actually kind of close the circle. Before I went into federal contracting, I had a lot of experience in the private sector, and that really helped me because it helped me build my past performance that is going to be needed. It kept the contracts to a small size that was very manageable. And I don't want you to overlook the private sector. It's incredibly important to start building your business, slowly in the private sector before you go to the federal market. When I went into the federal market, I went as a subcontractor, which made it very easy for me to actually deal with the companies that they had already the big contracts with the federal government. It was a lot easier because they had to do the heavy lifting. I was just fulfilling one of the requirements. And that's how the Department of Health and Human Services got to know me. And then they just call me and say, we want you to prime this contract. So look at different avenues to get into the federal market if that's what you want to do. But really have to be thinking very carefully because it's a heavy lift. And I've heard from some agencies, well, we really don't want to give contracts to women because they just mess them up. And so it was the first time that I asked to talk to the secretary of that agency and said, look what this person is doing. This is it was a contracting officer, I think it was, and he doesn't want to do contracts with women because they mess it up. So I don't know exactly what, yes, I know, I made that face. I exactly made that face. But anyway, we still have a little bit of a climb, but if you're not ready, step back until you're ready because it is, you have one opportunity to do it because if for some reason you can't quite fulfill that contract, they're not going to look very positively at you again. And they'll probably go and get a man. I don't know. Sometimes, we don't have anything against men, though. I think they're great. I think they're really great. So anyway, so those are the three. Remember the counseling, the contract, and the capital. The SBA is right there behind you to support you. I want to give you a quick update on procurement and the procurement rule for women. Michael Weber spoke about the set-aside contracts, the 8A, the veterans, and the hub zone. Those are very important set-aside programs that the SBA have. So what about women? Well, about 10 years ago, Congress asked the SBA to create a set-aside program for women. So the SBA did this study, and somehow it turned out that they found that women were only underrepresented in the federal marketplace in 4 industries only. Out of all the industries that the government does business with, 4, they consider 4 to be underrepresented by women. And one of them was all-terrain vehicle sale. That means that everything else, like healthcare or IT or paper clips, women were doing fine, but not in cabinet making and all-terrain vehicle sale, which was really ridiculous. So the SBA got a couple of lawsuits, and it was a rough time because it didn't make any sense. But that rule stayed in place for 10 years. With the new administration, we have the administrator is a wonderful lady, Karen Mills. We have the general counsel is a woman. The deputy administrator is a woman. The chief of staff is a woman, and the SBA is being run by women, actually, mostly. Mostly. We still have to take capital access. We need to take that away. But anyway, the general counsel really worked with the Justice Department, and we managed to take the same study that was done 10 years ago with the findings of four industries that women were underrepresented in. And now we turn it into, it is 84. The women can now compete and get a set-aside contract in 84 different industries. That is not where we want to be, but it's a huge difference from where we were only a year ago. So definitely you have to be assured that the SB is really working for women. And so, you know, the lawsuits are starting to disappear because it was a ridiculous rule. We are trying to get another study done so we can get more women into more different industries to compete for federal contracts. So I don't know if you know that one of the first things President Obama did was to create the Council of Women and Girls. And that is just pushing for women in every aspect, you know, from work-life balance to, yes, it's a lot that the president is really pushing for women. And I don't know if it is because he was brought up by a single mom, or maybe the grandmother was a great influence, or his wife and the two girls are pushing, but we have the commitment of the president to push for women. He knows the economic impact of women, and I get to go to meetings and talk about this. So I can assure you that the president is committed to women. So that adds my own fourth C, which is the commitment from the administrator, from my office, from the SBA, and from everybody in this room to stand behind you as you move on and grow that business, because when you succeed, you make us all look really great, and I could never be more proud of where I am right now. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ana. We're proud that you're there as well.